What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActiveMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is a family affair. This is currently available on Netflix, and it has audio description produced by International Digital Center, written by Liz Gutman, narrated by Jamie Lemcheck. Film stars Nicole Kidman, Zac Efron, Joey King, Kathy Bates, and Sherry Cola, and is directed by Richard LaGravenese. And we're going to talk about it. So, just in a short period of time, I'm recording this a little bit closer to when it actually dropped. It already has like a 5.4 and like a 45 from on Metacritic. So 5.4 IMDb, 45 Metacritic. People don't really like this movie. People don't like happy things. I don't know what to tell you. People don't, generally, I would say there's almost as much of a pushback against the Netflix Friday movie as there is against new Disney content. You know, this idea that Netflix just sort of like regurgitates mediocre movies on a weekly basis. I don't think that's true. And what I do think is true about Netflix's system is that they don't necessarily support the traditional studio system, in that they don't, the directors don't get the feedback that they need in order for them to know, did we make the right cut? Is this, you know what I'm saying? It's like having a group of friends who tell you everything you do is amazing, and then walking out into the world and finding everything you do is not amazing. Maybe like one or two things, but you're doing a whole lot of things wrong. Then you go back to your friends and you're like, hey man, what's up? You said everything, and they're like, well, we didn't want to hurt your feelings. You're our friend. Well, so it's sort of like that, but like within the Netflix studio system, they just don't need the films to be extraordinary. They pick up certain films for that purpose. You know, they have certain films that are pegged as being the awards. The other films, they just need stars to agree to do them, and they need enough people to still be interested in watching them so that it feels like it validates your Netflix subscription. So do you feel validated after watching A Family Affair? I kind of did. I didn't hate it. It does have problems, though. Anyway, we'll talk about that. So the film stars Joey King, essentially, as Zara, who is a 24-year-old, she ages herself specifically in the film, 24-year-old personal assistant to Chris, played by Zac Efron, who is a massive movie star. You wouldn't totally get that from the plot, from the film, because this is like a low budget, big budget movie where there aren't enough scenes to support him like walking into places and being like surrounded by fans. So he gets occasionally, you'll see like a paparazzi. There's one scene towards the end of the movie where Zara's exiting a building and there's like a paparazzi that's like, oh, is it true that so-and-so's in there? And it's like feeble attempts at stardom, you know? The budget definitely went towards pushing like extravagant lifestyles, because he lives in this mansion, this giant home, you know, with these doors that are like impossible to open, gated entrance. You know, even though I'm a blind film critic, everything was well described here. So I got it. Like I understood what we were doing here with this dude's mansion. He just has this like, you know, impossibly posh lifestyle and has really bought into the idea that he is amazing. He's the shit, and he's about to start in what sounds like it could be on Netflix. One of my favorite parts about the movie was Sherry Cola plays a friend of Zara's who's a writer, and she's trying to get Sherry's character, I can't remember her name, to do a rewrite of this script. And she's like, what is it about? And it had already been said before, and this is how they were pitching the movie. And she's like, it's Miracle on 34th Street meets Die Hard. And she's like, so it's about nothing. I was like, great. That is excellent. And then later on, Zac Efron makes it worse because she uses that against them. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm standing in your way of your Miracle on 34th Street versus Die Hard. And then he's like, it's Miracle on 34th Street, Die Hard, and Speed. I'm like, this movie sounds terrible. Something about Santa Claus is dead and Zac Efron has to go to the North Pole. No, he has to. The funniest thing is nobody got the joke, but he has to go to Antarctica to avenge Santa with reindeer terrorists or something like that. And she was trying to explain to them why it was so ridiculous, but he couldn't get it. It's like, no, it's not the same. Antarctica is south. North Pole is north. Why are we going to Antarctica? So anyway, there are lots of like little kind of cutesy jokes like that got me. Like, there's something here. It's sometimes, you know, we say there's no there. There is a there here. It's kind of, like I said, it could have. My problem is this thing already has, you know, it already has writers that have tried. And the more times you put more and more writers on top of things, it doesn't always make scripts better, but it probably could have used another pass. Especially from Richard LaGravenese, who's actually a much better writer than he is a director. If you look at his film resume, he has things on there that totally work, like, and have gotten and sort of a lot more praise and work in their genre. Bridges, Madison County, Horse Whisperer. He wrote Behind the Candelabra. So a couple things that he conceptually seemed to understand. His directing credits include stuff like that Beautiful Creatures movie, the adaptation of the novel that just didn't work. He's got P.S. I Love You. So his directing credits are a little bit less impressive. Not terrible, but a little less impressive. His writing credits are pretty solid, though. All the way back to The Ref with Dennis Leary. Yeah, so anyway, he's been around a while. And he should have been able to look at the script and go, this could be better. But he didn't do that. What ends up happening is Chris fires Zara / quits simultaneously, basically, over some just silliness. And Zara goes back, and Zara has a mother, Brooke, played by Nicole Kidman, who, for reasons unknown, is impossibly, again, wealthy. Because I think people think we like to live vicariously through rich people, like watching rich people do things all the time. I get why Zac Efron's character needed to be that way, because he's playing a film star. I don't know why Nicole Kidman's character is in the position that she's in. You know, I don't quite get why that was necessary. She's a writer, and that certainly is important, but she didn't need to be this fancy writer who gets these elegant dresses sent to her, who lives a semi-charmed lifestyle. You know, it's okay to write middle-class families. People can come from middle class. It's fine. I feel like we either write films about poor people in the ghetto and their struggles, or we write films about impossibly rich people. And sometimes they're wealthy, but like indescribably so. Like, you're like, what is it that you do for a living? And then when you realize what that person does, you're like, there's no reason that you should have this lifestyle. This does not make sense. Here it feels a little bit like that. Obviously, she doesn't live quite the lifestyle that Chris does, with his, you know, I mean, he lists off the things. He's kind of right, by the way, because when Zara tells him to drop the film, lists off all these things, all these people that he pays for, and it's like, yeah, he pays for a lot of staff. He has a lot of people that do things for him. He doesn't necessarily need them, but when people say, why do stars earn lots of money? It's because they're paying like 20 people. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got like all these people that do all these various things for him. He has a driver, he has a housekeeper, he has like a gardener, he has a security, you know what I mean? He has all these different things that serve different functions, and he pays all their salaries. His personal assistant, Zara. So, I mean, like, he has all these different things that he pays for. So it's not it's not as easy for him to just walk away from a film, even if it's shit. Which maybe explains why so many people do Netflix movies in the beginning and to begin with. So what ends up happening, obviously, is that Chris and I'll just say Zac and Nicole end up hooking up, and that becomes the film. And obviously, Zara, Joey King's character, is mortified, as is the audience, and just because, I mean, my God, did they hook up fast? Just impossibly fast. It's like Nicole Kidman's character hasn't seen a dude since her husband's death. You know what I'm saying? Like, she plays a widower also in this film, which she doesn't really talk about that much until like later in the film. It becomes like more like a second half of the film thing. But oh my God, Nicole Kidman's character is like really easy to please / get into bed at the beginning of that. And I hate saying that. I hate being that guy, but Jesus. I mean, he really doesn't do much. He's basically just like, I broke into your house, I'm here. And she's like, oh my God, you're hot. You know, it's just like, their initial chemistry is like nothing. And they sit on the couch and they talk for like 5 seconds. And then he's like, you're really easy to talk to. I'm like, you've barely said anything. The initial catalyst for this relationship is terrible. However, I will say, Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman do have cute moments together as a couple. Once you get past their initial lack of any sort of reason to have a relationship at the beginning, beyond physical attraction, they're quite nice together. He has a gift that he thinks of all on his own without his personal assistant, which I thought was a huge thing for him, which I picked up on, and then I didn't like really the way that Zara reacted to it, and she totally missed the point. But I got it, and I thought it was one of the better nuanced things that they put into the script was this gift that he gives to Nicole Kidman. Anyway, that's later in the film. Trying not to spoil that too much, but I thought that was a big moment for his character, and it was sort of almost destroyed by Zara's reaction to it. Kathy Bates then pops up as Nicole Kidman's mother-in-law, who is obviously the mother of the dead husband. It's revealed, there's some stuff that's revealed through that, but she's generally supportive. She actually is, you know, she's all behind this Zac Efron relationship. And, but will these crazy kids end up together? Does Nicole Kidman make Zac Efron a better person? You know, does Zac Efron bring Nicole Kidman out of her shell? Will Joey King ever be normal again? You know, can we get a starring vehicle for Sherry Cola? Stuff like that. Those are the questions that we have to ask and answer. Now, what I really want to talk about is Liz Gutman, aka boss ass bitch. Just Liz is on fire. Liz is going to become like the Shonda Rhimes, Oprah equivalent to narration pretty quickly for women, like whatever that is. Like, blind women everywhere are going to be like, did Liz Gutman write this? Because from Bridgerton to this, and I mean this in the best way possible, Liz is great at getting people horny. These screenplays that she writes, the intimacy scenes that she writes are fairly, much more nuanced, much more complex. They're very descriptive. And Jamie Lemcheck is all over this too, by the way, on the narration. She seems genuinely impressed as a human being. She's either doing a great job or she really does like Zac Efron's six-pack. Because every time it's referenced, whenever Zac Efron has his shirt off, it's always like, and he rips up his, you see his shining abs. It's just, it's like, there's like a greater emphasis, you know? Whereas there's less of an emphasis on Nicole Kidman. It's like they know their target demo is going to be women/gay men who are here because Zac Efron is pretty, not necessarily because Nicole is pretty. It's like Nicole Kidman is a walking Barbie doll. She's very pretty and has always been glamorous and always shiny. And she's 57, but she feels like she's timeless. I haven't seen her obviously in like years, but I assume she looks exactly the same. So, which is one of the reasons they're able to pull this off, because she's actually 21 years older than Zac Efron. And I love that in the same year where we had this film, The Idea of You, with Anne Hathaway, where she's like 40, and like they're trying to tell us that Anne Hathaway is old, and she's dating this, like, what's he, 24, 26, something like that, boy dander. I want to say 26. I want to say it was just 14 years. So she's dating something that's like 14 years younger than her. And it's like this huge thing. It's just like, oh my God, 14 years, so different. And it's like, these two are 21 and they don't even bring it up. These two are 21 years apart and they don't even bring it up. It does not come up in terms of the whole thing. So the funny thing is, in the way Hollywood used to make films, Zac Efron would be dating Joey King. He's 12 years older than Joey King. So it's much more likely for a man to have a female love interest that's unaddressed, her age is unaddressed, and just happens to be 12 years younger than him, but they don't talk about it, you know? That it is to have a female love interest in the lead who's 21 years older than her male love interest, and they never talk about it. So I kind of applaud this movie for that, because they really, truly never make it about the age. They're never like, oh, he's too young for you. They're just like, go Nicole, you know, good job, go you. And the other spread between Kathy and Nicole is 19. So that's reasonable. Like, Kathy's character could have easily had her son at 19 and then gone on to. She is generationally above Nicole. So yeah, it's an interesting film. I wanted more from Nicole's character. I wanted her to be more. I wanted her to have more range. I wanted her to be funnier. A lot of the humor is put on Zac Efron to be this over-the-top celebrity character, and Joey King's reactions, which are almost always like horrifying / mortified. And then Nicole just kind of comes in and she's like, I'm bored and I'm pretty and I'm intelligent and I need to be loved. And I think that's relatable. I think there are women out there that'll watch this and be like, yeah, I get it. But at the same time, they made her unrelatable because she's like a writer for Vogue who gets to stay at home or has written for Vogue. It was very unclear. But anyway, she has all these fancy dresses. And it's like, can she just play a real person? Can she do kind of like what she did in Lion? Just play a regular person? Is it possible for Zac Efron to be attracted to somebody who's like, just like a regular normal writer / house mom's wife thing from like a normal middle class family, you know, nice, maybe like a 3-bed, 2-bath, or even a 4-3, you know, just like a nice sort of like, it feels like her character is still, she's like won awards and stuff. And they never truly really get into what it is that she does. It's always kind of vague. Eventually Chris figures it out and then that becomes part of the gift, but it is kind of vague as to what she does and why and like, where did this money come from? And she's like, well, my husband was a writer too. Was he successful? Like, what are we doing here? So yeah, lots of questions around that. It is one of the films that you can tell And Netflix does this a lot where they kind of cast a couple famous people and then they don't really have extras. You know what I'm saying? Like, there aren't really a whole lot of like smaller characters throughout the film. They have a few, but the IMDb list on this is pretty easy to get through. I don't know, 20 people maybe total in the whole film, which is relatively small for a film of this magnitude. So, in general, I thought it was funny enough. It was entertaining enough. There have been some Netflix films this year that I've just been like, absolutely just like, what in good God's name is this? The week before this was that awful Jessica Alba movie. And the thing that's true about every single Netflix film is casting. Because they're relying on stars here, they're relying on their charisma to carry the film. And the more charismatic the star, the better the film ends up being. And I gotta say, Zac Efron's on point. He understands the comedy of the character. He understands how to be obnoxious. And his charisma alone would sell the film. But beyond that, I think really everybody does a good job. I think Joey King does nice work here. She was much better this year in We Are the Lucky Ones, which sadly I don't think she's going to get any awards recognition for, but she was really good in that. Nicole Kidman she's fine. She's just not well written. But with the stuff that she's given, she's Nicole Kidman, so she does okay. I would have written her character differently and given her more to do and made it a little bit more equal between Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman and given her maybe some comedic moments of her own instead of just this woman who needs some loving. Kathy Bates is really underutilized, to be totally honest. And, but nice. It's a nice performance. And Sherry Cola is also underutilized. And that's what I'm saying. Like, she needs her own stuff. She needs her own vehicles. So I think Richard LaGravenese does an okay job of directing this. And it's a nice time. It was like an hour 45. The audio description is really good from Liz. I mean, again, like I said, she really knows how to write this kind of thing. When they get intimate, it's lovely. And I've said before, before I went blind, I like never heard thrusting so much. You know what I'm saying? Like when people were describing sex, it was like it was a word, but there were so many other words. And then when you become blind, it's like you hear so much thrusting all the time. And you're looking for other ways of describing scenes. It's like there's some sort of default way for people who feel uncomfortable writing that text. Liz feels obviously incredibly comfortable, and she's going to do the best damn job. And I applaud her. Her work on Bridgerton is exceptional. Possibly the best audio description we'll have this year. And her work here is really good. And I love that Jamie doubles down on it too. And Jamie gives a great vocal performance in terms of narration by really leaning into these scenes. And I think for women and gay men, this works. It's all about Zac Efron being hot. It doesn't work the other way around. They do not put a huge lot of emphasis on Nicole Kidman's hotness. It's all about, oh my God, Zac Efron. That's what it is. So, I'm going to give A Family Affair, I'm going to give it a B+. In general, I have a couple qualms with it, but I enjoyed it more than not, and I'm going to remember it more. That might be a generous grade, but for what it is, it's fluffy. I'm admitting it's fluffy, but rom-coms are often fluffy. It's not a great rom-com. You know, this is not going to be one that, but I think it's a good rom-com. So, and it's definitely well described. Actually, it may have actually gotten, and this, I've had this conversation with other blind film critics, does audio description sometimes help a film? It may actually be getting the plus from me because the audio description was that good. So hire great writers and great narrators, and it does make a difference because I had excellent audio description on this and I'm very happy with it. So I would recommend this. I know it seems trite to other people, but I don't really care. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.